Who do you got in the final in the national title games here?
South Carolina, I'm going to bet them to 6.5. The line hasn't moved.
What about the
But that's what I was talking about, women's.
oh,
I thought we were talking about the women's because they're up in like 2.5 hours. I think that game starts at noon Pacific.
All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday morning, joined by one Eric Lindquist, talking a little MLB. We have a large slate, 11 games turned into 10 because the Cleveland at Minnesota game was postponed due to weather. Looks like the others are all going to be a go, and we have starting lineups for everything. So this should be a fun one. We are brought to you by Prize Picks. We'll talk a little bit about them. We'll talk a little bit about the lineup generator. We'll talk about Sims. We got all sorts of time here. We're going to go pitching and then stacks. We're shaking things up just a little bit today. So, Mr. Lindquist, how have you been? It's been a hot minute since I've seen you. I've seen your likeness quite a bit over the last 72 hours, though.
Yeah, you've heard my likeness be tortured by Major League Baseball over the first week and a half because, I mean, again, we're accumulating sample size. It is very, very difficult to say this is what it is and this is what it isn't. But seeing Strider, seeing Bieber, seeing some of these guys get hurt right from the get-go, I mean, there's definitely going to be some hurdles that have existed here now, a year of wear and tear after the pitch clock. And now we're stepping into a new season. There are velocity dips, but I do think that maybe some pitchers are just kind of building themselves up and don't want to just come out of the gate flame throwing. It is a long season, 162 games. There are going to be some very disgusting pitchers that we talk about on today's slate. You know, when you start getting to these fourth, fifth guys, it is really disturbing. But losing some of these studs that existed already early in this season, it's been not the heartbreaking is maybe overstating it a little bit, but it's definitely got me in kind of a malaise.
Season long is kind of a wasteland.
Yeah, my dynasty team is dead already. I have Bieber and I have Strider. So anybody want to buy a dynasty team for 1K, let me know. I would very much like to sell it. I want nothing to do with it. I'm starting Marco Gonzalez today.
Congratulations. Nothing
Thanks.
like a lefty. Good times. Good times. Nothing like a soft tossing lefty to make your heart warm.
I hate everything.
How about your Twins? What are they up to?
Oh, God, I'm not playing baseball right now. Royce Lewis, nothing like a home run and a single to start off your season, and then rounding second, you rip off a hamstring, and now I'm never going to see you again. I truly, this beginning of the MLB season has been so unenjoyable. Oh yeah, Royce Lewis is on that team too. So three of my 4 IR spots taken up by 3 of my best 4 players. That's good.
All right. Now that we've got Eric prepped and ready to talk baseball today, this is the one nice thing about DFS is we can avoid injuries for the most part here. That is helpful. And that's something that as I was going through, I have 7 or 8 season-long teams. As I was going through all of them this morning and just my IRs are filled, Strider, Bieber went down recently. I've got just injured hitters. It's a disaster already. Royce Lewis as well on a couple of my squads. So now awesome. I'm starting like Jeff McNeil and Brandon Nimmo are on.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive. Actually, that's not so bad. What you just said is a lot better than what I have to do today. I mean, I'm going to play Boyle and I'm going to play Marco Gonzalez because everybody else is taken. It is awful. I hate it. I hate it here.
Good times. Good times. All right. So everybody, now that we've collected a bunch of people here, go ahead and hit that like button. Always helpful here. Hit that subscribe button. We're crushing towards 98,000 subscribers here on the Stochastic YouTube channel. That is very cool. Also, I mentioned Prize Picks. We are sponsored by them. If you go to the YouTube description and click on the link there for Prize Picks or any of the other sponsored links that are there, you'll get the best offer that we have available currently for Prize Picks. That is up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Those funds do come out of your account first. So it is very fun to play over there on Prize Picks. I am sad that I don't get to play them here in Florida. So sad days.
Cry into your Hard Rock account, please. Just
I
go
haven't
cry
set
into
that
it.
up yet. I need to do that. I don't know why I've been dragging my feet. I'm just lamenting that it's a monopoly down here. So I haven't gotten around to it.
You know what? There are ways to be profitable at sports betting no matter where you live, no matter what you're doing. Whether it's playing pick'em over at Prize Picks, whether it's Hard Rock Monopoly in Florida, you might not be as profitable as having multiple sports books and opportunities to fire those up. But I will say you're still going to be in good hands with Odd Shopper.
Absolutely. And I look at that every day because I write up the DFS building blocks for NBA as well as the spotlight pitchers and top stacks. I'll drop the link for that into the YouTube chat. And I put in a recommended wager every day for both of those. So very, very helpful utilizing Odd Shopper. And it does support the pick'em sites such as Prize Picks. It makes building out those 6 and 5 pick cards much easier, allowing it to sort through and find them all for you. All righty, so let's move on into pitching. We did lose 2 of the better pitchers with Tristan McKenzie as well as, why am I blanking on who was the other one?
Is he one of the better pitchers at this point based on what we saw in Seattle?
He is, for today's slate.
He would have Bailey Ober was the other one. He was going to pitch for my Twins today. Yep.
It was kind of a weather situation that this would have been good pitching weather. And when, as you mentioned, we are the things have fanned out a little bit. So we've got, the Chris Sale on one side. Granted, he's the older version of Chris Sale, but we do have some back end rotation guys as well. So it's sort of a catch as catch can. But popping in our models is none other than get back over there is Christopher. What is his last name? Christopher Sanchez.
Yes.
Which is rather interesting going against the Washington Nationals here. The Nationals do not have an abundance of strikeouts in their lineup, but they do have a few people that strike out. They have almost no power. So yikes, they're going to be someone we're picking on all season. So he is popping in the model. Chris Sale is tough matchup there against Arizona. You've got Jack Flaherty going against Oakland. Oakland, another team that we're going to be picking on all season because they just don't have anything more than replacement level players, save for 1 or 2 hitters. And then the other one that was interesting to me, and I don't know what to do, is Shota
Imanaga. I won't be playing him. I think the weather is absolute trash in Chicago today.
So let's hit on the cleaner side of things here. Talk to us about what are you doing with Sanchez, Sale, Flaherty, kind of as our top 3, our trio to target. If you're looking
let's start with Sanchez because he's drawing Washington. Washington is dead last in WRC plus, 103 plate attempts, 31 WRC plus against left-handed pitching so far this season. In other words, not great, Bob, not great. I always feel weird. We're like 10 games into the full regular season, and yet I'm citing sample size. But this is something that I think is going to maintain as you just go through the individual WRC plus of specific hitters. Jacob Young, no idea what we're going to make of him here long term because there's not sample size. Jesse Winker, we have it. He looks healthier. He's been better, but left on left, that isn't ideal. Lane Thomas, Joey Gallo, another guy there. Lots of lefties just forced into this lineup on a day-to-day basis, and I think this is going to be an amazing opportunity for Christopher Sanchez, who the fastball velo, it's down a little bit, but that could be said for just about everybody here in baseball. We've got right around, 92 mile per hour on his fastball. Coming back to last year, it's pretty close. He's actually a little bit closer than I was expecting working through it. So that was 2023. It's up 2 ticks for him. So there you go. That's the exact opposite of what I said. 1.89 expected ERA in that first start. Again, it's 1 start, so don't read too far into it. But we saw a decent enough, nearly 1,500 pitch sample size last season, 3.74 expected ERA. He is my favorite pitcher, ownership agnostic on the entire slate. He has the best matchup, I believe, and his price point is a joke on DraftKings. So 7,600, he's your first pitcher in for cash. And then also I would be playing a ton of him in tournaments because I am.
And I don't see much of a way around that. There will be days when we flatten out our pitching. There will be days when we embrace certain matchups. Today, it sort of feels like that. Sometimes these things will go sideways for you. But thank goodness there are, 190 or so days of the MLB regular season. And most of those days have 2 substantial slates. So we're looking at 250 slates a year. So
a lot of what we're doing early in MLB is embracing that people don't know a whole lot of shit. Like, I see Christopher Sanchez actually up in velocity. I see a lot of other pitchers down in velocity. I see, you know, for me, a lot of knowns and unknowns that exist based on like previous years of sample size. But what we don't know is how the ball is reacting in baseball. I feel like that's something nobody's even talking about here yet because it's cold, it's gross in most places right now. And it isn't until we get to the summer months that we really figure out, oh, there's going to be more or less home runs than normal. Oh, the ball is coming off the bat softer or harder than normal. There are specific hitters who just kind of lose it. Carlos Santana, my Twins, I went through some of his profile stuff here early today. I think he's just broken. I think he's done. And, those are the kind of things that, change your outlook on a specific team or a specific batter. But we do have to accumulate sample size. Again, I'm kind of just like embracing some of the unknowns. And there are some pitchers that I think on this slate that have a ton of upside. You brought up Imanaga. I think if the weather were better, that would be somebody that has low ownership against the Dodgers. And I just don't know. He pitched a lot better in that first outing than what I was expecting, even against Colorado. Didn't know what his swing and miss stuff would be at the major league level, but the jury's still out on it. And then Andrew Abbott, somebody who had like 10.3% top two percentage. There's tons of these guys on this slate. But if you're trying to just accept like, oh, Christopher Sanchez, based on his 2023 numbers and the velocity being up, and we know the strikeout stuff is generally there when healthy, he is just impossible not to want a roster today.
I'm just called up, and I should probably close it before it crashes my computer, the old weather.com weather in motion there, looking at that Chicago game. I thought there was going to be more of a window at the beginning. It's hard to tell for sure now. So that I see some people were asking, do we take that out of our player pool? You can. I probably will today because I'm going to be leaving here shortly after the show and going and visiting friends in Tampa Bay. So I will not be able to do late swaps if we need to, nor will I be able to appropriately monitor the situation up until 2:20. Now you do get that extra time to sort of figure out what could or could not happen. And that gives you the other games that start in the 2:00 hour, of which there are 4 other ones that you can pivot to. So you can buy yourself about 40 minutes.
Yeah. And it's the last game of the slate. This is only like a 50-minute window. So like you should kind of just make that decision before lock what you're doing and then watch the weather play out. It's terrible hitting weather for whatever it's worth. I know that they just went for a bajillion runs and, if the wind ever so slightly turns to push the ball out for whatever reason, it could be a different profile. But from what my understanding is looking at it, because Windfinder, I pretty much only use it now just to look at Wrigley Field the night before. Like I don't even utilize it for golf as much anymore because I feel like all the edge is kind of gone out of that. But we'll see for when we actually have some weather like over in Britain or something maybe. But the Dodgers-Cubs game should, for all intents and purposes, just be looking at Gavin Stone and Imanaga. And I just don't have a lot of interest knowing that there's like maybe an hour and a half. We've got a lot of other pitchers. There's some good strikeout stuff, whether it's Flaherty or Chris Sale or Sean Manaea or Garrett Crochet. Like there's dudes with swing and miss upside that I just don't think I have to force in a Gavin Stone who I just don't think even healthy, like somebody that I want to be getting to a ton here at the moment. Imanaga would be it, but again, I'm just not really willing to embrace it on this slate.
All right. Here's a question. This is actually from me since I haven't had to do this just yet. What is the best way to remove a team from the Sims? Is it to go in and put players at 0 for their the capped upside, or is it to just zero out their projections?
Yeah, I just zero out the projection if they're not in the lineup. But we should be updating that stuff automatically. Sometimes 1 or 2 might fall through the cracks, but if somebody is not in the lineup and you know that for a fact, put a 0 next to them. It'll be a lot quicker, easier for you to just go along with your life. And then make sure the ownership is at 0 too, just in case. I don't think it would matter. I haven't toyed around if it matters or not, but I just changed the projection to 0.
Yeah, and I was more looking at it because I will take this game out of my player pool and I'm building.
Yeah, I did already. I don't have any of this game at the moment.
Okay, excellent. All righty. Let's see. Flaherty. He's never been able to stay healthy save for 1 season, but he is in a great matchup. So he and Sanchez are going to be your 2 cash game pitchers. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Oakland 70 WRC plus thus far. We generally have a lot more righties that you're going to accumulate sample size from with early in the season. 261 plate appearances so far in 2024 for Oakland, 70 WRC plus against righties, under 100 ISO. These are not good things, friends. So very much in the camp of like, again, this is good chalk. I think it's just Sanchez Flaherty. One of the easier cash games, like considerations that we've had on a slate in a long, long time. Kind of makes me want to play a little bit of cash where it's just like anybody who doesn't play those two is probably doing things somewhat incorrectly. I can't really even make a case for another cash game pitcher on this slate other than Crochet. Like, I think if you really wanted to just go more heavy towards the bats, you could go Sanchez, Crochet, but like, I wouldn't do it. I think Crochet is just more of a tournament guy. We're accumulating sample size of him as a starter. We don't exactly know what that looks like. I am very much online with what you just said, though. Flaherty has to be the other guy that you'd be clicking in. I mean, this is an Oakland lineup that repeatedly we're going to be picking on. You're going to see it. Abraham Toro leading off. Zach Geloff. I mean, JJ Bleday, I think, is going to be okay against some righties going forward. Brent Rooker, Seth Brown as well. But overall, this is not a major league lineup, top to bottom. Shane Langeliers has some pop at times, 421 expected slugging thus far, but I am so in favor of targeting this one.
Yeah, that's just issues abound.
Yep.
All right. So you mentioned Garrett Crochet. I was trying to think of some good puns to go there, but
you were just thinking of like what you're going to do after this at your arts and crafts retirement home facility.
Knitting. My puns would have you in stitches. I was trying to think of a few things like that, but
yeah, no, I just bodied you without even trying, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's good times. In any event here, so he started out as a reliever, and they are now putting him into the starting rotation. In 2020, he averaged 100.2 miles per hour on his fastball, which he threw 84.7% of the time. He then, of course, had Tommy John surgery, so he was out for 2022. Last year, back in action, 96.3 on his fastball. This season, through 2 starts, he's at 97. It's a bit of a wild card here as to see how he will do second time through the lineup once he gets around 60 pitches, etc. He was kind of the borderline guy. I can see him as an SP2. I also like Kansas City against him, with especially their right-handed hitters. So that takes us a little bit into stacks here. Is Kansas City making it for you, or are you jumping on the Atlanta offense like everybody? Are you interested in the Phillies? What do you have for your top stacks here?
Okay, so this is probably my off the board. What are you doing? Why is this your take play of the day? I really like the Kansas City lineup. I'm on board with, I think Crochet is going to be more popular. Everybody saw Detroit. Everybody saw Atlanta. Amazing start from Crochet there. There's no denying. 7 innings pitched, 8 Ks, inducing decent amounts of ground balls against the Atlanta Braves, 7 of them. I mean, overall, you give up just 1 earned on a solo shot to Atlanta. You got to feel pretty good about Garrett Crochet and his presence going forward after that. But here's your big but. He pitched in 2 phenomenal weather spots at home in freezing cold, wind blowing in Chicago against both of those teams. And obviously Detroit going to be a lot worse than Atlanta is this season. I don't think anybody's going to question that one. I just don't know. And it's 67 degrees. The wind is blowing straight out in Kansas City. And I'm just kind of in love with rostering this team because I think Crochet is going to get more ownership based on what we just saw from him. Again, he could be very, very good, but right now not pulling a ton of ownership here at the moment. And you look at the early slate, you look at some of the ownership that we have coming in, Kansas City not pulling nearly as much as what I was expecting. And I'm just kind of jamming them on this slate.
All right. I actually like that. My home run of the day in the article is, do you want to guess who it is?
Bobby Witt?
No, it's Miguel Garcia.
Oh, that makes
Which
me
is
happy.
terrifying. This is terrifying because he is not a traditional power hitter by any stretch of the imagination. It was all about getting the positive expected value. Heading into this season, he had 4 home runs in 538 career plate appearances. He has 3 this year. Let's call that a little bit of luck. But I was able to get, or I recommended him at, since I can't put money on this, at FanDuel at plus 830. There were OddsShopper says plus 717 was the fair line. Most other books are at plus 500. So when you're looking at home run props, you want to be very, very careful, because you're going to find plus or minus 200 across these sites. The one thing you do need to understand about FanDuel, while they are always going to have theirs higher, even if a player is not in the starting lineup, they don't grade it as no bet unless the player doesn't play. So if they come in and pinch hit, it counts as an actual wager. So as Greg likes to say, make sure that they're in the starting lineup before you lay that money down on that. But yeah, Mikhail Garcia, out of nowhere. Nelson Vasquez was my guy yesterday. He didn't quite get there.
Nelson Vasquez is my dude today. Oh boy. Nelson Vasquez, please hit the ball very, very far into the afternoon sky, please and thank you.
If he makes contact, it will be for
gone.
I
remember last season. Do you remember last season? I was so early to the Nelson Velasquez party, almost like ashamedly so. Like, I probably shouldn't been as high on him having some kind of a renaissance as what I was. But he had 17 homers last season and just 179 plate appearances. The guy came out and he had like plus 750, plus 900, plus 950. There were some ridiculous home run props on him. And if you looked at some of the numbers he was putting up early and just like the hard hit before the home run started showing up, you knew it was coming. And we made some serious coin on that one. Nelson Velasquez probably, like, if I had to rank my MVPs last year in terms of betting, Nelson Velasquez is in my top 3.
Nice.
He's only 25 too. Like, he's young. Like, there's no reason that he can't have what's happening right now just be him getting better. And now we're seeing the benefits of it. I mean, he has protection of Perez and Melendez too. I mean, this is just a fun spot. Melendez left on left, not as appealing, but like, again, I am very much here for Kansas City today. I'm also playing Crochet, so it's not like I'm not. I just don't know what to make of him. I don't think that we're going to have this outrageously good lefty who gets all of these swing and misses the rest of the way home. I could be wrong, but again, it's 2 starts coming off of like being on the shelf forever. It feels like, you know, being a guy that was a bullpen arm and a phenomenal bullpen arm, even without some swing and miss. So Garrett Crochet, I'm just going to embrace the volatility and just get to like 15-20% of him and then just jam Kansas City, which is definitely my preferred side of it.
Yeah, and that's something, just as people are meandering in here, or you're dabbling for the first time, I see someone asking a great question about, you know, what is a one-off, what does stacking mean? So kind of just to cover that lingo here, a one-off just means you have a player by himself on a team, and usually you want somebody that has power that is going to do that, and you hope you luck into a random home run, maybe,
or is going to be like stolen base, Jalen Duran, like getting to him, just somebody that is at the top of the order that can, you know, steal a lot. Again, it also depends on what size the contest you're playing. And if you're playing in the largest field stuff, you're going to inherently get to some different types of one-offs that aren't necessarily just the power bats. You're going to get to cheap one-offs. You're going to get to other guys that just kind of fit the profile of like that specific lineup. But the Sims does all the work for you now. Like, you don't have to think about that kind of stuff as much anymore. It takes into account all of the goodness, the projection, the ownership, and kind of spits it out with a lineup that's going to be positive EV. So like, for me, that used to be something I used to agonize with. And if I'm playing like 3 max stuff, I'll still be considering it, where, you know, like yesterday I was busy and wanted to still play some 3 max stuff, play like the $20 or whatever, and have something to like pay attention to and sweat throughout the morning. You basically are going to the Sims, you're firing it up, but then you can kind of like switch out one guy for another that you might prefer, based on something that you're seeing that might not be showing up in terms of ownership, or somebody is 2 owned that you don't necessarily want to have in that spot that you think might have higher ownership in a 3 max contest. But for the largest field stuff, not something I think about all that much anymore.
All right. So in talking about that, we can go to the lineup generator. This is one of the tools that we have. It is like Sims Lite, and it is at a much more palatable price point for the casual gamer. So the lineup generator allows for you to quickly and easily generate lineups, hence the name. So if we go, let's look at let's do FanDuel if we can. I'm going to kind of push this along on my screen. Mike, and I'll kind of look at yours, but you get the different stack types here. So you also want to know your scoring systems. On DK, you have 2 pitchers. Yahoo, you have 2 pitchers. FanDuel, you have 1 pitcher, but they get bonus points for the quality start. They've also tweaked how they score runs and RBIs slightly differently, which makes stacking a much more crucial aspect there on FanDuel. FanDuel, I pretty much want to play 4-4 or 4-3 stacks. So what that means is you're going to play 4 from the team or 3 from the team, etc. You can build out whatever stack types you want here. On FanDuel, we let you pick 4-4, 4-3-1, and 4-2-2. I will usually just say all stack types when I'm building this out. You can build chalky lineups, balanced lineups, contrarian lineups. Remember, this is baseball, far different than NBA, where you have the most heavy of the chalk, the most popular plays. They're going to be popular for a reason, especially at this time of the year. Baseball, not quite like that, because even the best players can go 0 for 4. Even the best pitchers can give up tons of home runs. Like we saw with Gaussman yesterday. I think he only gave up 2, maybe 3 home runs. He went to the best pitcher or best hitters there on the Yankees. But here's someone with a career 1.1 home run per 9, right? Well, he had a bad day, right? He's coming in off a little bit of an injury delay, just ramping up, et cetera, et cetera. So you never know what's going to happen. We saw Strider look bad. Now he's got the elbow issue, right? So even the best players may not work out. But you can build contrarian lineups, which is helpful, or all lineups. You can choose to lock in a player if you would like, a hitter or a pitcher, and then you can generate lineups. So we can lock in any of the pitchers, but then you can see you can generate lineups. If Mike scrolls down just a little bit, you can see the save or discard button. You build up to 20 lineups, put them in your holding pen, and then from there you can actually go in and curate them. So if we click on a whole bunch of those, put it in the view saved lineups section there, you can see over when Mike gets there, you'll see over on the right, you have the player names. You can click on those, and then it'll bring every player that is every lineup that player is in. It'll bring them up to the top, and then you can look and see, do I like that lineup? Do I not like that lineup? Do I want to maybe switch one player out of that lineup and come up with something different, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that is how the lineup generator works, but it's a pretty powerful tool. We've got this for all the main sports, and of course it will be also for Showdown for the NBA playoffs. All right, what else about maybe Atlanta, Philadelphia, which is as a recovering Nationals fan, I think I'm switching to Tampa Bay for my second team. It's painful seeing 3 of the best hitters on the Phillies that used to be Nationals. It's
not
rough.
Great.
It's not great. Bob. Not great. What are you looking at for some of the other offenses here?
Yeah. So look, we're jumping over to offense now. We're done with pitching.
Unless you have any other pitchers you want to down.
Well, I wanted to highlight one guy because I am a disgusting human. No, Dean Kramer. I feel like Dean Kramer going up against Pittsburgh. This is a Pittsburgh team that I don't buy into anything that's going on here. Early on, I am playing Marco Gonzalez in fantasy in like a dynasty league because again, I'm in shambles and I hate everything and I just need to get innings built up and whatever. But Dean Kramer is going to be around a 23, 24% strikeout guy, hopefully this season. I do see that there's going to be a little bit of improvement to his repertoire. I think so. At least this curveball that's being thrown right around 17-8% looks pretty decent to me. Going back to like 2023, looking at like previous seasons, he's throwing the 4-seamer about the same amount. The cutter, he's throwing a lot more, but this curveball, he's going from throwing it around 9% of the time last season to around 18%. Again, it's very, very early. I keep saying this over and over. It's early sample size, but if that curveball is a pitch he's more comfortable with, it's going to generate more swing and miss than some of the other stuff he had. So you're going to take him from last season's baseline of nearly 3,000 pitches, 21.4% K rate. He's got right around a 22.7% K rate there in that first start. But like, I think as he gets going, I think this is something that might maintain if that curveball is something he's comfortable throwing. So thus far, the 206 expected batting average with it. But the big thing is it's going to get more swings and misses than the changeup for sure was getting. So I feel pretty good about Dean Kramer going up against a lineup that I feel like attacking here as well. So I think another guy to kind of be mixing in tournaments that I think I'm just a little bit higher on than our top pitchers tool. We've got him 9.3%, but he's 8.2% owned. I think Luis Gil, another guy that we've got at 10.8%, getting to Mackenzie Gore on the other side of that Philadelphia matchup. It's very uncomfortable, but don't you want to have somebody like a Mackenzie Gore who, one, gets swing and miss, two, is lefty? So the Harper and Schwarber, and while it doesn't necessarily neutralize it, it definitely frickin' helps to have a lefty on the mound there going up against this lineup. You get a number of swing and miss candidates in Schwarber. Turner's been striking out at a higher clip thus far. And then JT Realmuto, he's hitting the ball really, really hard, but a 31% K rate already this season. I don't think we're going to see him just erupt from like a guy who 2 years previous was at 21% up to like a 30-ish% K rate, but definitely seems as though he is swinging for the fences early here, and it's feast or famine.
Counterpoint? May I have a counterpoint, good sir?
I would love a counterpoint.
Clearly, you should be looking to the Pittsburgh lefties. They're going against Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer, who is 28, getting up there a little bit. He has not quite come into quite the development that his ceiling was projecting at over the last season and change. He's allowed almost a 200 isolated power to opposite-handed hitters. So that means we've got the top of the order here with O'Neill Cruz, switch hitter Brian Reynolds, Jack Suwinski, and then even Rowdy Tellez as power options here. I think this is a fantastic secondary stack or a contrarian stack here going against Kramer. Now, you can play both sides, right? DraftKings, we got to play two pitchers. So you would have someone like Kramer is going to be on 10, 15% of your lineups just because all it takes is one of those lineups to break free, right? And lead you to the promised land. And in baseball, you can't have some both sides or zero. But that is a spot I really do like. The Pittsburgh Pirates, O'Neill Cruz was potentially going to be my home run of the day, but that felt like cheating a little bit. So I went off the board with the long shot.
I decided I'm going to play cash today too. I'm in love with this lineup. Saw somebody else ask earlier, my favorite second baseman under 4.7K. I'm building out my cash lineup. There's no way I'm not playing Jorge Polanco in cash. They get the ballpark upgrade going to Milwaukee here. Roof will be closed. Everything should be pretty good for the Seattle team going up against Colin Ria, one of the worst starters here on this slate. So I am going to say you should be playing Jorge Polanco in cash. Other part of that too, I was going to build on the Dean Kramer point too. I'm playing the other side of it. He has a 227 expected ISO against lefties from 2023. That is awful. That is horrendous. But again, it's somebody that is introducing a new pitch that may or may not be good long-term, and he's pulling no ownership. These are the kind of guys that if you can get to them, same thing I'm doing with Alec Marsh. Again, the wind is blowing straight out. Yohan Moncada, pretty strong cash consideration as well today. Somebody that I'm going to probably entertain playing here. But Alec Marsh has swing and miss. We just saw him be mega chalk on opening day. People are feeling less mega chalk-ish with Alec Marsh. The jury is still out on Alec Marsh to some extent. He had a 5.92 expected ERA. I guess just whatever slate that was that I played where he was chalk. It might have been like a specific smaller slate if I'm looking at it correctly. But either way, he's not good, but 25% K rate last season, 20.8%, just one start, 76 pitches. If he gets like 85, 86 with no ownership on him, the White Sox are going to be one of the worst lineups in baseball. And looking at some of their right-handed data, they have a 69 WRC plus thus far with a 124 ISO against righties. So I will embrace a little Alec Marsh questionability as well.
All right. I'm about to run my contest simulations. This is exciting, Eric.
Look at you. You feel like you're rediscovering DFS sometimes, don't you?
I've been doing this for long enough where you reinvent yourself every couple of years, from hand building to actually having projections to the optimizers.
Actually having projections.
To then having ownership projections, and now the simulations, the lineup generators, etc. And baseball, it's my favorite. This is like, I don't know, year 35 of fantasy baseball for me. So I've been doing this for a long time. It is, I think, my 13th year of DFS baseball. I started DFS June 2011. Was when I first discovered this wonderful thing. My thought was, one, how is this legal? And two, where have you been all my life? Those are my two thoughts.
Baseball is actually where I fell in love with DFS too. It was like 2014 or 15. It was just advertising in the summer nonstop. I was going to Dodger games every single day in the summer because I didn't have a job at the time. And I remember just going out there and being like, this is interesting. I could make some money on the side. I was doing like side hustle gigs and doing other stuff 2014-ish. And I ended up winning 4th of July contest for 10 grand. And that was like my bankroll immediately, and just started like playing MLB DFS every single day. People weren't stacking still. People weren't doing like just basic concept stuff on a day-to-day basis. And I look at it in hindsight and I'm like, man, I really should have been firing then. But now it feels like it's come full circle where it's like I'm firing more now again because of the Sims and the presence of it, where I think it's more sophisticated. And I know that I'm getting my money in good on a day in, day out basis. As long as you're paying attention to news, as long as you're, making sure that you're making educated stands, not necessarily just like overexposing yourself to one spot, or like a day like today. I think just having the Dodgers Cubs game out of your lineup pool, that'll be something that can maybe trim a little bit of edge. But it feels like it's come full circle for me too here with the Sims.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things where you just got to have fun. So yesterday I was inspired. I saw Aton had a screenshot. He took down the early NBA showdown with the Sims, won $5,000 on it. And he's had a couple nice outings with it. And he'll be the first to say, he wasn't never really into DFS. Betting is always his angle, but he's a good analyst. He understands the players, but the DFS concepts that, he had to learn a lot of those when he was here with us. He's good on season long stuff like that, but he has had so many nice little wins there that I played with the late slate, just messing around in the $1.20 max and a few things, because I had not been using the showdown Sims for NBA. And I had a couple nice lineups there. So that was a lot of fun. So I said, why not? Let's see if we can recapture the magic. Yeah. Your mileage may vary, right? This could be a horrible slate for me. One never knows how it's going to be, but this has been a lot of fun thus far. I even actually in NBA, I dabbled a little bit in the mini max, and I took one of those down for $1,000 using the Sims, like my third day using the Sims. So it's something worth trying. It is a little expensive, so that's why we do have the lineup generators, right? And that's a lot of fun as well. But if you have the means, giving the Sims a whirl is not a bad way to go. Mm-hmm. What do you have here for secondary stacks, Eric?
So this is kind of a weird thing, because I used to do this all the time, and I still do it with hand building. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'd look at left on left, Jordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, and I'd be like, oh, they're going up against lefty. They have no ownership. They're expensive, and they're 1%, 2%. Yeah, I'm going to get to this 2-man. I'm going to get to this 2-man. But now, again, it comes down to so much of simulating out the contest, simulating out where I think my edge lies. And for me, it doesn't necessarily exist in trying to specifically pick out two guys. There are preferences that I have. And, if I'm hand building out, I do think getting to two Kansas City bats, whether it's Nelson Velasquez, even Melendez left on left, no problem getting to that one, even though don't love it nearly as much. Even Hunter Renfroe, we know he can be a lefty killer. It has not shown up early in this season, but it is also early in this season. I think like those 2-mans are definitely ones that I have preferences towards. I think looking at St. Louis even, I think you've got a pitcher in Kyle Gibson there that is going up against Miami, and it just would seem that Miami's going to pull like zero ownership anywhere. And I feel pretty good about some 2-mans there. Luis Arraez, who people don't like playing because he has zero power. I'll take somebody who 3-4 hit upside and keeps the line moving on a pretty routine basis. Josh Bell there batting at first base. You can play Berger at third. I think some of those little combinations, just to lower the ownership on some of the chalkier stacks that I'm going to be playing, those are kind of the calculated risks that I would be taking building them out. But the Sims, I'll let you know here as I finish everything up here in the next 5-10 minutes exactly which 2 and 3-mans I'm getting to more, but not something that I'm inherently too concerned about right now.
All right. We've got a couple questions here, guys. Feel free to put in questions into the YouTube or Discord. We will catch those here. I see. So someone was saying their first fantasy baseball league was 1988. Nice. Mine was 1990. Their first football league was 1990. Mine was 1995. Why is that? I couldn't get in a league, right? We had to do everything by hand, and all the leagues were full of everybody I knew.
Don't you mean 1895?
Well, that was a little before then. When
1895 Brooklyn
this guy,
Dodgers,
Abe Lincoln and Abner Doubleday and I were hanging out, and we came up with this concept on how to create fantasy baseball. So
the Brooklyn Grooms, the 1895 Brooklyn Grooms finished 71-60-3. They were 5th in the National League. Let's pull up the 1895 season.
Let's go to
what
the
am I
Spiders.
even looking at? What the hell is this?
I want to see. Someone's asking, can you play Marsh and Crochet in the same lineup? Yeah, there's no problem with playing pitchers against each other. People will say, oh, in the perfect lineup, you won't get wins for both of them. We only get wins about 30% of the time anyway. With any major league starter. One, there's 2 starters in every game. There's only 1 win. 2, they go to the bullpens so quickly. All you need is a tie.
Also, strikeout rates for these pitchers these days, like most of the guys you're looking at, they're either going to be, I mean, you got some electric stuff that exists for specific pitchers. You have pretty flat stuff, but like it is this push and pull, as you said, like 30% get a win. You see plus money for really good pitchers to get wins at times. And that should just kind of like, that should show you that the strikeout upside, like getting to 7-8 Ks, outweighs trying to get a win and worrying too much about it. If you're hand building out like one lineup, you could probably you're probably okay embracing a little bit of that volatility of just like, oh, well, I'm not going to get the win. Or you could take 2 cracks at the win, I suppose. It kind of goes both ways, but not something that I've thought about in a very long time.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Wins just aren't there. I mean, we'll be lucky if there's one 20-game winner this year in the entire league. And there used to be 10 every year not so long ago. So
nobody's going 110, 115 anymore. And if they are, their manager is getting fired.
Yes. I mean, the human body's not designed to throw 100 miles an hour. The fact that Tommy John, it's like, oh, good. They at least they've had it already, because pretty much every pitcher's going to have it. It's just wild to me. The whole pitch clock thing, speeding up the game. I don't like 45 to 60 seconds between pitches by any stretch either, but there's probably maybe a little bit more of a happy medium than where they ended up. Who knows, right?
You should just add 5 seconds to it or 10 seconds to it this year and see if that helps. See if it helps the injuries at all. Like, I don't see a reason that we have to have this firm, doesn't change pitch clock for the entire season, or they last year wanted to change it for the postseason or something, which again I want it to stay standard no matter what it is, but like maybe we can reduce some pitcher injuries by adding 10 seconds, giving them a little bit extra time, because again I don't know what it's like to throw 100-mile-per-hour fastballs or even like a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. A lot of arms aren't capable of handling that. Like, give them a little extra time. I don't think the 10 seconds per pitch would just kill the game or the game flows. So I wish they would do something like that and not be so stringent that, oh, it has to stay the same and we have to accumulate more sample size here. No, add the 10 seconds now and then accumulate sample size based off of that, because I think it would help.
You're talking about the same league that hid the fact that there were humidors in play at half a dozen stadiums for 2 years.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Change the baseball mid-season. That we're changing the baseball to make things more of a pitcher's duel or a hitter's duel based upon matchups, and they can't. The sanctity of the pitch clock can't be adjusted. Get out of here. Get out.
Stupid.
All right, get off my lawn. I'm uploading my lineups.
Love you.
Look at that. No stress here. I'm only playing one site. Sorry, Yahoo, not today.
Oh, they're going to be sad. They're going to be sad.
Will.
They love their EMac.
It's a lot of fun over there. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of St. Louis showing up for me for secondary stacks. I know people were just asking about that. A lot of 2-man St. Louis. Paul Goldschmidt showing up in a ton of lineups in the Sims for me. again, this is the beauty of it. It's not my stand on it. It's not what I think, but like this is, especially for a sport like baseball, where I can't maybe make the same educated stance. Like there's volatility to a projection based on what you believe the minutes to be and then what the minutes are projected. And sometimes it is kind of straddling the middle of two very different results. Like think of a Terrence Ross in basketball or any kind of a flamethrower off the bench where, Norman Powell when everybody's healthy, where he could play 34 minutes or he could play 24 minutes and there's volatility to it. In baseball, it's so volatile, but you kind of want to carve out your piece of the pie. So like Christopher Sanchez, I'm getting 54% of lineups, my highest owned pitcher. But then Paul Goldschmidt is my highest owned batter. Ivan Herrera, somebody that's showing up for me quite a bit. Nolan Arenado. This is going to be an interesting slate here because again, I like the way that this pans out.
I'm very, very, very dismayed, Eric, that I am not getting my Pittsburgh stacks that I wanted.
Sorry. Are you playing Dean Kramer then?
A little bit. So I am now going to go hand build a couple lineups that are Pittsburgh stacks.
Oh man.
We're going
you gotta have it. You gotta have it.
Looking at and just looked at some of my lineups for the Sims. Mackenzie Gore with Crochet. It's just I don't want to go there, but
I got a little bit of Pittsburgh.
I have one.
I got my Pittsburgh.
I wanted more than one person.
You wanted more? Well, you're needy.
I wrote them up. I like to play my plays. It's very important to me, and it's not that hard when I know exactly who I'm going to put on my lineups here.
Is Atlanta going to be mega chalk today? Is it going to just be mega chalk again, like it is every slate?
I think so, especially since Coors Field is not on this.
Yeah, thank slate. God. Except for I just jammed Coors Field yesterday and it worked out. Thank you. Thank you bullpens from both teams. And also, is Colorado the worst pitching team that we've ever seen in baseball history? They might be.
It's pretty good. It's pretty close. Even they gave up on Chris Flexen.
Well, he stays flexing in his candy paint, rolling dank, sipping drank on an 84 swing, so it makes sense.
There you go. Yeah, what is up with all this Arenado and Goldschmidt?
I have a lot. So I don't know what to tell you. All I know is that it is smarter than I am, and I'm not going to question it.
All right, let's put in the last play. Oh, Jorge Polanco. I need my obligatory Seattle player. There we go.
Love. I think they're going to end up pretty popular, even though they don't look to be. I'm just kind of looking at other places in addition to us. Looking at the top stacks tool, I'm very curious where St. Louis ends up. And we have 6.4% top stack percentage on the Dodgers. So for me, I took that out and I'm kind of messing with some columns and Excel stuff to try to decide where I want to put that 6.4% because I just don't think it's going to be applicable. I'm going to keep them at like 1% and kind of keep it out that way. There's 3.4% ownership share. I'm going to have 0 of that game in general. I'm a little bit worried Milwaukee, Seattle, just because the weather, like there's that. I think the White Sox, Kansas City game, if people are going to be under on that, just give me all of it. Currently, Kansas City, my highest owned stack by quite a bit. The ownership share has come up to around 10% on both of them. There's a little bit of negative leverage on the Kansas City side of things now against Crochet. But again, I like playing both sides of that one. I think Crochet could be really good. I also think if the ball gets airborne here in Kansas City with some of these righties, ball go far today. So that's one of the better quote unquote weather spots, just because, it's a Kauffman Stadium isn't necessarily one of those in baseball that you really want to be targeting hitting. There's, enough real estate doubles can play up, but looking at some of the ballpark factor stuff, it doesn't seem like this would be a spot to jam, but I think Alec Marsh, at the same time, I'll have a little bit of him. This is your best value team in the White Sox by an unbelievable margin, 23.9% top value percentage in our top stacks tool. So that game is one that it seems that I am getting to a lot of 5-mans from.
All right, we are 15 minutes out from lock. 135 is the lock time today. Hit that like button if you have not. I think we're cresting towards 200. That would be pretty cool to get to. We also have about 750 people watching. That is a nice showing here for a Sunday morning. for baseball. I did see someone was asking, can we give him some of the top hitters from the Coors Field game? So I would look on the Rocky side going against Ryan Pepio. You want to look to the lefties. So Ryan McMahon and Nolan Jones would be the two that stand out dramatically there. You also have Michael Toglia, who I think he was $7 yesterday. I'm not playing Yahoo today, as I mentioned, but I think you can get him at near minimum salary on Yahoo. He's a switch hitter. He has some power from the left side of the plate. If you flip that and look at Tampa Bay, they're going against Dakota Hudson. Dakota Hudson typically has pretty good ground ball stuff. Of course, this is Coors Field and things can get wonky, but last year across 350 batters faced, he had about a 52% ground ball rate, pretty equal to hitters from both sides of the plate. Still, you want to look to somebody like Isaac Paredes, who is always in play. He hits the ball very, very hard, and he is phenomenal. You've got Richie Palacios, who is going to be their lefty, kind of taking the Jake Fraley spot there. He is a secondary option. And then Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe will hit a home run today because I took him out of my season-long lineup for the upcoming week for my Dynasty League. He's going to punish me.
Way to go. That was nice because I do not need him to go yard today in my head-to-head league. So thanks for that.
Sunday fun day dong pick.
So I gave you Nelson Velasquez. I think that's a pretty good one. Let's stay in that game. How about my dude, Robbie Grossman, formerly of the Minnesota Twins? White Sox here going up against Mr. Alec Marsh. And this seems like a spot where, it's a game environment that I'm a little bit higher on, it would appear, in the Sims. Just maybe this ends up being it. And Alec Marsh, pretty decent case stuff in 2023 to both sides of it. 25% against lefties, 24.7% against the whole righties. But looking at Grossman specifically leading off here, I mean, this isn't somebody that has zero power by any means. I don't think this is his preferred side from what I remember, but I do know he has a 136 expected ISO against righties who throw the fastball with a similar comp to that of Alec Marsh. Again, just trying to find specific pitches. The guys throw a ton on one side, 37.3% four-seamer usage. And it seems as though looking at add more funds and kind of combining that data with Fangraphs here, Robbie Grossman at the top of my home run model, didn't see that one coming.
That is impressive considering he has 90 career home runs over 12 seasons.
Yep. I'm said leadoff hitter today, wind blowing straight out. It's also relative to sportsbook odds. So he has longer odds, I believe. That's got to be the reason that he's at the top of it. It's because for me, it's for betting purposes. And then usually that kind of falls in line with ownership. But here's the thing. He's going to be more popular as a leadoff hitter, I suppose. I think that should kind of bring his ownership up a little bit. But I want to see if this can be my Robbie Grossman, if I can get on a bet. This is going to be gross, man.
Like that. I like that.
Thank you. I knew you would like that one.
You got what I need. You got what I need.
Yeah, what I need.
Biz Marquee. Let's see. 10 minutes till lock. So we're cruising in. I've got my lineups in. It's kind of fun just playing on one side. We don't have any. Have you and Greg haven't done any baseball shows together yet? Have you?
We have not. I can't wait to yell at him.
Created a nuke of the night or an exotic play or anything like that. So it will be a clean.
I can do a nuke of the night. Can it be a pitcher? Can we do a nuke of the night pitcher?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know he's popular. I don't really care. Christopher Sanchez. I don't know how you get away from playing this human. It's too good of a spot against the Nationals. We don't know a lot about the MLB season thus far. I think a lot of people are going to act like they know a lot, but one thing that I'm pretty confident in is that this Nationals lineup is going to be horrendous against lefties. Oh, there I am. It's going. I just blew up. It blew up on my screen. But anyway, good job. I didn't know we had that waiting in store, but I am very much a fan of getting to as much Christopher Sanchez as you want. First pitcher in cash. he's going to be a guy that I have in the large majority of my lineups. Gave him a little bit of a boost. Even I had him at 55%, going to get a little bit more. My highest owned player on the slate by an absolute country mile. Next guy is at 38%, which does it feel good that it's Chris Sale? No, it does not. But Chris Sale, I'm going to embrace some of that against Arizona and hope he's a lot lower owned than Jack Flaherty. And Jack Flaherty looks great against Oakland. There's no doubt. But I'll just take the Sale versus Flaherty. Top pitcher or top 2% is higher for Chris Sale. Ownership is lower. And I do think that people are going to be jamming Flaherty. So it's basically a calculated stand to get to more of the pitcher that I expect to be under-owned.
All right. I wonder if that's why we're seeing them kind of inverted there in the Sims, as it's taking into account that Flaherty is more popular. Because I'm only getting him in 24% when I had Sanchez in 53%. Interesting.
That is interesting.
I did not do any ROI boosts, but I think I may actually, because I would like a little more Flaherty than that. So I am not quite done with my lineups. Click a little ROI boost. And then we'll look here. That's what I love about.
Is Bowden Francis somebody that you're rostering at all?
No.
Okay, good talk. Glad we had it.
That's all we need to say.
He was the one pitcher that I didn't know what to make of today. Breaking it down, and it would appear he's like falling through 0 of the cracks. So I guess that's good. Congratulations to him on a new career high in strikeouts today.
It's interesting how much different the ROI boosts create swings here in MLB as compared to NBA. NBA, you can hit things like 20, 30%, and sometimes the guys aren't going to move. Like Flaherty, I just did 10%, and it bumped him 14% in my lineups.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it?
Got it to
gosh darn it. Is that interesting?
It is to me. I don't know about to everybody listening, because listening versus actually getting to see what's going on are entirely different things here. My other home run of the day, obviously Miguel Garcia. I'm hoping he gets whatever it is, his 8th or 9th home run of his career today. But I really do like Jack Suwinski against Kramer. He would be my alternative.
Yeah. Kramer feels like he's going to win me a tournament one way or the other today. Like I'm with you where I look at some of these 5-mans. I like them. I also kind of like getting to Kramer. Again, it feels disgusting and disturbing, but I like that the top pitchers tool is kind of in agreement with that, where it's going to go one way or the other. I hope it does, at least. It's kind of like being all in on a fight in MMA. It's like, for me, I just want somebody to die.
That seems a little harsh.
Well, get over it. You've seen some things. Remember the Civil War? Those were tough times for you.
Yeah, family against family, brother against brother.
Not great.
Very sad. Very sad. Those were dark days.
Why are you running with my bits today? This is hilarious. And I like how baseball, I'm always kind of like tweaking something, moving stuff around. Like NBA, kind of the same thing, but like I will say your banter in MLB is just about as good as it gets, young man.
Well, I feel more calm with MLB, knocking on wood.
Yeah, me too.
You got the lineups. It's more just crafting the player pool mix.
Also, for people who don't do this, please start doing this. I always 100% of the time upload something at the start of a show just so it's in, and then I'll tweak around and do whatever else I need to, because it is, you shouldn't ever be panicked to make your MLB lineups unless there's somebody who's late scratched and then you have to like tweak something around. But there's still a way where you can just like global swap to like a later batter and then you're just fine. But like, please, for the love of God, just have something uploaded ahead of time so that you're never in a panic. Like it's probably like the number one rule that I've learned doing MLB shows over the years is just make sure you have something uploaded so that you're never, ever in a rush. Also today, there's a lot of lineups I have with like 3,800, 3,900 left on the table. This is some crazy lineups.
Really? Greg said he would not do that even in baseball.
I do it. I have no problem doing it, especially on FanDuel. FanDuel, I do it all the time. Yeah, I'm probably in a different camp from him because there are, what am I trying to say? Like, I see where he's coming from, but some of the 5-mans, they just look great And I don't find there to be like a pitcher I need to be paying up for today. I am happy to be getting to Sanchez plus Kramer plus leaving 3K on the table. I don't think it's an absolute no-no. The Dodgers are off the slate for me, so I guess that's probably another thing where I don't have a Mookie Betts or a Shohei Ohtani or anybody to be paying up for. I just don't have them in my pool. If I did, I'd probably be getting there.
5 to go. This is the last call. Hit that like button. Just 20 more of you. Just 20 more of you hit it. Let's get up to 200. I'll send this off to Mom at EMac or Mama Mac, and she can see what's up. She was wondering when we would be sending her links again. After she stayed with me for 3 months, she didn't need to see my shows, but now she says, "Can you send me more of your shows? I never see you anymore." It's the guilt trip. It's the guilt trip. Anything terrifying you today with 4 minutes left?
This Furman character from Kansas City. I don't think he's any good. Fermin? Is that literally how you say his name?
I would assume.
Freddie Fermin. Yeah.
Well, Felix Fermin was a hitter way back in the day, middle infielder for the Mariners, for Cleveland, a few other teams. I would assume that's how it's pronounced.
Okay, well, cool. Good story. Glad we had it. I hate having him in these lineups, but he's in too many of them. St. Louis, a team that I didn't really talk about because I didn't know I was going to get them as much as what I did. Walker batting 6th here. We've got Mason Wynn now 8th. He's going to be all right here eventually, I would think. Nolan Gorman in the 5 hole. St. Louis, a team that I did not expect to be rostering this much, but getting to them. We didn't talk about some of the other like contrarian pitchers as much on this slate. I think there's a lot of give to get to, the $7,100 Crochet. We'll see how popular he ends up. I'm going to be paying very close attention to that to see where because he projected for not a lot of ownership. Something tells me he gets quite a bit of ownership. I got a feeling that anywhere you're clicking on, they're projecting him out pretty well. And this is a feast or famine spot. So I'm hoping that I get some positive leverage on Kansas City here. But the post-contest sims will definitely be where I finish up my day tomorrow morning, or where I start my day tomorrow morning to kind of see how I played this slate, because I do think that there are lots of different approaches. And if the Dodgers and the Dodgers and Cubs game plays, I will be in shambles. So there's that.
Somebody was asking or mentioned we didn't talk about the Cubs and Mets. So let's see. It's kind of hard. Manaea, a decent enough pitcher, adequate ground ball rate, does allow some power to righties, but no surprise there. Completely shuts down lefties. He's facing an all righty lineup.
All righties.
So that would lean a little bit more towards Cincy, but the Cincy lineup really falls off. The back half of their lineup is hot garbage. They've got a couple injuries that are not making them look great. It's going to be 60 degrees and the wind's in a little bit. Great American Ballpark is the best home run hitting park, but that kind of is neutralizing things. On the other side, you have Andrew Abbott. He is like an enigma, a mystery, a riddle wrapped in all of the above. I can't remember the Winston Churchill quote exactly, but he seems like someone who should get a crap ton of strikeouts, but then he doesn't. He gets people to swing and miss, but then he never really puts them away with strikeouts. So I don't have a good read on him as a pitcher. I think he's talented, but he doesn't get there the way I would have expecting him to. Not that I'm a major league scout or anything like that, but he seemed like the Hunter Green, the Nick Lodolo, right? It's like, oh shit, they got another guy that throws strikes. This is crazy. And then it's like, I thought I saw him throwing strikes. How come he didn't get any strikeouts at the end of this game?
I think he's okay to get to. I don't have a terrible, I'm not sitting here saying don't play Sean Manaea, but as you work through some of his stuff, specifically 24.2% K rate in 2023 to righties, there are 9 of them, as you brought up. And then just the specifics of some of these righties in this ballpark. I mean, Espinal, he's just out there to make contact, really low K rate, 12.2%. Not necessarily going to do a lot with it. He had under 100 expected ISO up against lefties last season, 115 plate appearances. But as you said, it falls off towards the back of it. But I don't find a ton of strikeout. Newman, 14.5% K rate, 110 plate appearances last season against lefties. I mean, these are low strikeout rates with a couple of these guys where it's just tougher sledding than some of the other pitchers, I believe, on this slate.
Someone was asking about the Milwaukee roof. I'm guessing it's closed, considering I see a tweet that says, "Come on, you cowards, open the roof." So
no, it's cold as shit and the wind's blowing in, and I would really break everything in my room if they did that. Jorge Polanco in cash, Luke Raley in cash, all of these dudes in cash.
Not a fan of Colin Rea?
No, I'm not. No,
practice
attack him into the midnight sun. Wasn't he KBO? Was he a KBO guy? I think he was. Whatever. Dominic Canzone, your last home run play. Go.
Dominic Canzone was the top of the model the other day. Greg shouted that out, and he hit a home run. I was surprised by that. Show minor, show international. He was in the Japanese league.
I thought I remembered him being overseas for a while.
Why is this not working? It's not telling. Oh, there we go. It wasn't telling me which teams he played for. SoftBank.
There we go.
The SoftBank Hawks, the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. And with that, we're at lock. That was fun. That was a good time.
Wasn't it fun? I thought it was fun.
Last night was kind of a dry show we had for NBA. The 3 games we're waiting on the Embiid news. That was an hour after lock. We were trying to guess at if he was going to play, if he wasn't going to play. It was a mess. But I'm glad you get the MLB show tonight, or the NBA show tonight.
I do get the NBA show. I'll be hanging out with Matt Bellman, talking a little hoops later here on in the afternoon. I'm heading quickly to go to the engagement party, and then I'm making my way back on over I'll be back at the home base around 1:30. So 4:30 Eastern time. That starts up at 5 Eastern time. In the meantime, South Carolina -6.5. Didn't think I would be standing here saying that I was going to be betting women's college basketball this heavily at this point in time, but here we are. That line I feel like should be double digits, but that's just me.
Wait, who's playing today?
South Carolina and Iowa in the national championship game. I bet UConn 3.5. That was a legacy play, as a friend of mine called it. It surely came to fruition.
Eric?
What? Oh, end the stream. End the stream. God.
And with that, you can find Caitlin Clark on Twitter at Eric Lindquist. You can find me at EMac DFS. Of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.